Welcome to Finding Avalon, the podcast that amplifies disabled voices. I'm your host, Jenna, a disability inclusion advocate, communicator, and storyteller. This is a place where disabled folks correct the narrative by sharing authentic lived experiences. Join me as we explore life with disability through our lens, because representation matters. Welcome back, everybody. We've got another episode of Finding Avalon for you. I'm so glad you're joining me as Season 1 picks up momentum celebrating disabled changemakers, one story at a time. This time around, we're featuring Chloe Hammond, who's joining us from across the pond in the UK. Chloe is a pioneering disabled nurse and disability advocate from England who's no stranger to making waves. She was diagnosed with multiple rare conditions at age 15 and has used a wheelchair since 2018. Chloe works alongside Ocho, her award-winning assistance dog, breaking barriers as the first UK nurse to do so. Her advocacy focuses on visibility and empowerment for disabled professionals. This dynamic duo of nurse and service dog are making impact, demonstrating the vital role of assistance dogs in the workplace. Chloe's dedication to inclusion has earned her well-deserved recognition with a nomination for the Nursing Times Nurse of the Year Award, and very recently, some exciting news she'll be sharing with us on this episode. Welcome, Chloe.
Hi, you made me sound like a superhero.
Oh, well, I think you're pretty super.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here, especially across the time zones and on a weekend. We're recording on a Sunday here, so it's a very nice, relaxed episode. We are wearing some very comfy pajamas here today, both of us. Chloe, what do you say? Should we jump right into the questions?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Can you share a little bit about your disability journey and the advocacy work that you do?
So my disability journey has been kind of complicated, but I think everybody's is. So I was first diagnosed with Behçet's disease when I was still late teenager. But it's one of those things where they can't do a single test to tell you what it is. They can just rule out other things. So I went through a whole bunch of tests with my mom, basically being told that I had all sorts of sexually transmitted diseases and, things that you didn't really want being said in front of your mom. But nobody was listening. We got turned away from multiple hospitals and nobody was listening to me because they got a set idea and that was that. So eventually that did get diagnosed and then everything kind of happened. So I don't know about you, but I found that once you've got one chronic condition, you seem to get a whole ton of others. Like everything seems to have some kind of a link. So I still don't think I'm fully diagnosed with everything that I have. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I'm pretty sure I've got ADHD, but I don't have a diagnosis yet. But I know that I do.
You feel that you're neurodivergent, like you can feel it.
Oh, for sure. There's
Yeah.
so many things that I do that I'm fairly sure are probably down to ADHD, but I've just dealt with it for so long that it's my normal. And I don't know whether having an actual label put onto it would make any difference, but I guess it would kind of validate my feelings around it. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a whole journey. Self-identifying is very valid and powerful, and
Mm.
also sometimes for various forms of care or accommodations, they require to have that on paper. And so you said Behçet's disease, is this how you pronounce it?
I think so. So every time I see a doctor, they pronounce it differently. So some of
Okay.
them have said Behçet's and some of them have said Behçet's. I honestly don't know. It's some kind of Middle Eastern condition that's most common in middle-aged men, and I was diagnosed at 15. So that was quite nice.
A 15-year-old girl. You
Yeah,
must have felt like it was a bit of an anomaly to hear this.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. You had mentioned that there were other knock-on diagnoses that happen, which we know happen so easily because they're all connected, right? They're
Yeah.
one can kick off another, two can coexist at the same time, another can develop because of symptoms or treatments for
hmm
particular things. So what else went on?
So to treat the Behçet's, it's managed with a ongoing low dose of chemotherapy. So obviously that comes with its own thing. So that then gave me chronic fatigue, and as a result, fibromyalgia. But also as a child, I was a gymnast. I was very, very flexible. I found gymnastics easy. I did gymnastics and dancing, and every now and again I would complain about joint pain, especially in my hip. And I was just told that it was either growing pains or I'd overstretched it or something. So it wasn't until I don't even know 2017, I think, that I finally got a diagnosis of ehlers-Danlos. And I was right. My hip had been dislocating for all these
Mhm.
years. I'd been telling people that it did, and they were like, "No, of course it doesn't." But
It's wild, so many people, yourself, myself included, other people that I personally know have been told growing up, "Oh, that's just growing pains. You
yeah,
shouldn't be in pain. That's just growing pains." But you've got ED,
yeah,
fibromyalgia, all kinds of chronic pain conditions, all kinds of conditions can cause that. Wow, thank you, for sharing that because that's quite a lot for somebody so young, right? How
I'm older than you think. I'm 33.
Yeah, I know, but at the time, I mean well, you're still young, yes, but at the time when you first found out about the
Yeah,
first diagnosis, and then I guess year upon year, things develop. Yeah,
yeah.
how has that been?
It's taken a long time to accept who I am, I suppose. Um, I hid most of my disabilities whilst going through university. Like, I mean, they were aware I did have reasonable adjustments at university. I had extra time in exams and things. Um, But whenever I was using crutches, I would say that I twisted my ankle at gymnastics, or, I'd stubbed my toe or something. And I kept playing down how much I was struggling. But it was because I was very much aware that I wouldn't be able to finish my degree if they didn't think I was fit to do the job. And it was all I wanted. I wanted to be a nurse so bad. So I kept it all to myself just to get that qualification under my belt. So it's taken a long time because then obviously I'd got used to hiding it. I'd done 3 years of uni, and then I did another year as a preceptorship year once I qualified. Um, and I got so used to keeping everything to myself after that first 4 years that trying to then accept that my conditions were worsening was really hard. Like, I used crutches for quite a long time, um, after sort of a flare up of all my conditions. Like, I got unlucky. Everything flared up at the same time, and that's part of it, isn't it? I mean, I have the Behçet's, which causes chronic migraines and also causes chronic bowel problems and also causes chronic joint pain. And everything just flared up at once. And once it gets out of hand, it was so hard to get back on track. So I used crutches for quite a long time, longer than probably was sensible. But I didn't want to admit that I couldn't be me anymore. And that's what it felt
Mhm.
like. Like, I was told that I should probably be using a wheelchair and that it would be a lot safer. I'd have a lot less falls. But in my head, I was like, well, if I use a wheelchair, then I'm not me anymore. And like, how do I be a nurse if I'm in a wheelchair? Like, I just felt like admitting that I had disabilities was admitting failure almost.
Mhm. Because that's what society and ableism tells us. In not
Even as
so
a nurse, it's how we
Right,
treat people. Like,
yeah.
people come into a hospital, and your job is to make them better. They've come on with a broken arm, you're going to fix that arm and you're going to send them home. But how do you deal with someone that comes into the hospital with something that you can't fix? Like, you s- you're seen as a problem. And so in my head, that's exactly what I was. Like, I wasn't fixable, therefore I was a problem.
Yeah, and ableism is so alienating and so painful, and it has so much shame attached to it, even though none of those things are yours to carry.
Yeah,
But here you are, a young person going through uni, trying to have that experience, trying to hide or mask pain and complications, and also there's no timeline, there's no linear way to accept and process that we've become
definitely not.
disabled, right?
And I think even at this stage,
Mhm.
I don't know that I'm processing it 100% right, but it's working for me. And I know there's no right way, but like,
Yeah,
even now I can talk to you about my journey, but I feel inside like I'm talking to you about one of my patients.
about someone else.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it makes it a lot easier to talk to you about it. But
yeah,
like, I know it's my journey, but
yeah.
it's still awkward. Like, only this week I finally accepted having care staff come into my home and help me with all the stuff that I struggle with. And it's amazing. Like, I hated it for the first few days, I must admit. But my
Mhm.
house is tidy and I'm eating 3 meals a day. And like, I've showered twice this week, and that's a massive deal. But it's taken me so many years to accept that that kind of help improves independence, doesn't take it away from me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting how long it can take, and there's, like, this distancing that we do mentally as well, and
Definitely.
sometimes when you're distancing, it's part of that grief and trying to process, and when I talk about things, sometimes it feels like I'm talking about somebody else, and I can eloquently describe the whole experience, but I'm kind of over here, and the story
Yeah.
is about someone else, and I think it's because it's very hard to mend that disconnect. The you that you were before, and you're still you, I'm still me, but things have, definitely changed significantly, right? So there are so many pieces, and I think it's super complex.
I think I have lots of me's. Like, since starting to use a wheelchair and losing everything that I thought made me who I am. So I was still doing gymnastics up until my early 20s. Um, and I'd been a ballroom dancer and I did all these activities like rock climbing and kayaking, and I was really sporty. So to suddenly become a wheelchair user, like when somebody said, "What do you like to do in your spare time?" Like I didn't have anything at all. Like I had no answer to that. Um, and so now I feel like I have lots of me's. Like I don't feel like I am who I was before, but I don't dislike who I am now. Like I've come
Mhm.
to a kind of middle ground, but I definitely have Chloe the nurse, who's very confident and will go and do speeches in front of big auditoriums full of people and, go on panel shows and talk about disability advocacy and present awards and stuff. But then I've also got Chloe at home, who is quite vulnerable, I guess, and quite scared of the future and needing that help and support. But then I've also got Chloe out with my friends who's going to have a few too many drinks, and you can't be done for drunk in charge of a wheelchair. It's hard. It's hard to find that middle ground of being one person again, because there just seems to be so many fragmented bits. And I don't know if that's adult life in general or if that's just part of accepting a disability. I really don't know.
I think it's a little bit of both, because there might be this romanticized idea that we get from media and films and stories, perfect stories that you hear, that this is the path, this is the way a person is, this is the equation that makes up your identity. But who you are at 20 and who you are at 30, who you are even 2 years after that, completely different. Your
Hmm.
experiences will shape that. If you have health issues or disability, those things are always moving pieces, always developing, worsening, staying stable, maybe getting a little better, maybe not, who knows? And that uncertainty is very hard. So that can also, I think, create that fragmented view
I
of
think with fluctuating disability as well, you have situational friends. Like,
oh
I
yes.
definitely have friends who only know what well Chloe looks like. And then
Yes,
I have friends that see the whole picture. But like, I think you definitely end up with situational friends that you will do things with when you're at your best, and they have
that's
no
right.
idea.
And then there's also the fair weather friends, the ones that
Hmm.
know you in those good times, and they don't see your struggle. So it's harder for them to even imagine it, let alone empathize or relate. And those friendships, I find, fall to the wayside pretty friggin' quickly.
Like, my dad was one of those people who I hid so much from because
Hmm.
I didn't want him worrying. I didn't want him to think that I was really struggling because he only lives just around the corner. But I wanted to be independent and I wanted to get on with stuff myself. And I thought if he knew how much I was struggling at home, he'd want to do more for me. And that wasn't what I wanted. So I just didn't tell him anything. But then when I was really unwell, I can't remember what happened, but I turned down something and he came round and all of a sudden he saw just how sick I was. And like that conversation was so awkward. I should have had that conversation years ago.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes to when we worry about other people worrying about us, or
Mm,
not wanting to be pitied, or not wanting to lose any kind of agency that we have as well, because there
mm,
is that vulnerability of, well, if I show how bad it really is, what do I stand to lose here? Like,
yeah. But he felt so guilty for not knowing, but it was
oh,
my not telling him. But it's hard to
mhm.
be open and honest, I think, about how things really are.
I have friends who have seen me at what I would call my so far worst,
Mhm.
and because I do have progressive conditions, But I have other friends that I may start to be more open with, but sometimes they still don't quite get it. They're like,
Mm.
"But you were fine 2 days ago. Why can't you do that?" And then I try to explain dynamic disability, and sometimes that's not as understood, and it's hard to do. Sometimes it's
Also
hard
hard.
when you are vulnerable and if things are getting worse and you're worried and you're just kinda holding course, and then something spins out, you then you have that awkward conversation of, "Oh, so I know I was seeming fine, but shit has hit the fan."
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Thank you so much for talking about that. Chloe, can I ask you about Ocho?
Of course you can.
Wonderful. How does your partner in crime, your service dog, Ocho, how does he help you in life and in your work as a nurse? How does he help?
So Ocho is a 4-year-old yellow Labrador, and I only learnt yesterday that Labrador is a place. So that's new.
Yes.
So he is task trained to help mainly with physical disability. So he can do things like um, unloading the washing machine. He'll put things in the bin. He can open and close doors. He can help me get undressed. Um, he'll fetch the post. He'll get things out the fridge. He can do most things that I might need help with, picking things up if I drop them. Um, so that's a massive, massive help just in my home life. He's also trained to medically alert, so he can smell migraines before they happen. Um, so this has taken
Wow.
a lot of training, and he's done incredibly well. But yeah, he can smell the I don't know, like the aura, I guess, of a migraine. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like, is it
He's
a pheromone? It's some kind of a scent that he can pick
yes,
up.
yes.
Wow.
And so he can tell me now about an hour and a half, 2 hours before a migraine, which gives me time to get home and take medication. And like 9 times out of 10 now, I just have a bad headache rather than a full blown in bed throwing up migraine. So he's incredible.
Hard to come back from a migraine once it gets to
It
that
is.
level.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that migraines were detectable. I mean, I should have known that, but I know that low blood sugar or high blood
Yeah.
sugar or anxiety or fainting spells, I know they can smell and detect that. I didn't know about migraines. Wow.
I mean, I guess it would depend on the cause of the migraine. So, like, mine are very much linked to my Behçet's, so I imagine that there's something that he picks up. But that being said, we were actually at the cinema watching the new Bridget Jones uh,
Yeah.
yesterday, and he alerted to my stepsister. So we're not genetically related. She's my stepmom's daughter. But in the middle of the film, he did an alert to her, and we calmed him down and basically ignored him. I gave him a treat. Um, and I told her after the film what he'd done, and she was like, "Well, I feel fine at the minute," so we just left it. She texted me 2 hours later. She was in bed with a migraine.
That's incredible. And so when you said he alerts, does he like boop you with his nose or nudge you? What does he do to alert?
So to start off, he does bunny hops. So like it kind of like just hops his front feet. And then if you ignore him, he'll put his front paws like onto you. So if I'm sitting in my
Okay.
wheelchair, it'll be onto my knees. She was obviously sitting in a cinema seat, so it was up onto the arm of the cinema seat. If you continue to ignore him, he will fully get onto your lap so that he's right in your face and you can't ignore him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Attention,
yes.
attention. Yeah. Well, because I know sometimes they like to get the person either in a seated or a lying position, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, to kind of keep them safe from
yeah.
maybe a seizure or a fall. Wow. So there was something that Acho smelled
It
and
suggests that it's
alerted.
a smell, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And 2 hours later, here she was, migraine.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
So he
That's
was right. We shouldn't have doubted him, but there we go. At work, he has done some extra training. So he is also trained as a therapy dog. So I don't know what the difference is over there, but in England, we have assistance dogs who are your version of a service dog. They're task trained to mitigate a disability. Then we have therapy dogs, which are things like school dogs or hospital visiting dogs. So they're literally just trained to provide comfort,
comfort, exactly.
provide a distraction maybe if you're doing something that's not very pleasant. So he's done additional training so that he can also do that. So when I'm at work, he will sit on people's beds with them. He will just sit in front of them and be stroked, resting his chin on their leg. It just makes those difficult conversations a little bit easier. Like if we are talking about somebody's deteriorating condition or maybe end of life care, it's a lot easier to sit and have that conversation, maybe side by side, and they can talk to the dog rather than talk directly to me. Like, it just makes it a bit easier for them.
My nan, when she was in a care home, the thing I think that kept her going was when the St. John's ambulance therapy dog would come, and this was a little pug named Magic.
Oh,
And my grandmother had a very hard time adjusting, like anyone would,
mhm.
from independent living to being in a care home. And she missed her family terribly. I would visit as much as possible because I was in the same city. And she would be beaming, calling me, Magic was here, or Magic might still be here when you arrive. And I saw firsthand how much joy and comfort it brought her. And, it
Yeah.
did help with her well being. So Ocho can do the therapy dog role as well.
So I work in assisted living. So it's a big building, but of independent flats. So they've all got their own living room, kitchen, bathroom. But we
Okay.
do have communal areas where they can gather. So the other thing that I try and use Ocho for is increasing movement and activity without them realizing. So like I'll take them and we'll play fetch. So they have actually got to bend down and pick up the ball and they've got to throw it. And we have to walk obviously to get to the little park and stuff. Um, or we've got a gentleman with dementia, and so we can go for a walk and he can hold one lead and I'll hold the other. So he doesn't feel like I'm holding on to him because he's going to wander off, but he's got a job, so he can't let go of the lead. Like it's just little things that I think the dog can provide a different way of doing things.
It's like an added incentive to that companionship for people
Hmm.
who love animals.
Hmm.
And even people who have never had a pet, once they learn how to connect with an animal, I think it's a very special kind of a bond.
Yeah, he's a very special dog.
Yeah, I've seen the photos. He's absolutely adorable. And is there anything exciting you can share about this accomplished boy?
Well, so last weekend, he actually won Assistance Dog of the Year. We had to go up to
Wow.
London and he got a trophy and it was amazing. Um, and this was the first time that an assistance dog has been recognised in a care awards in the UK. So rather than being recognised as an animal or as a pet, he was actually recognised as being part of my care team, which is
Hmm.
such a massive step forward, like to be able to recognise their work.
What is engraved in that trophy for him?
Assistance Dog of the Year 2025, and it was from the Talks with MS charity.
Wow, and that's a UK-based charity?
Yeah.
This is such a big deal.
So then we got more news this morning. Um, we got a letter from Geneva that he's being internationally recognised for his work. So the trophy's in the post, and I'm so excited. Like to get international recognition for a dog is incredible. This one is all about recognizing animals for their like extended work. So there's been dogs like search and rescue dogs that have won it. I think police dogs have won it. So
I tell you, you're gonna need to make a shelf for Acho's trophies.
he won another one a couple of years ago. He won the well, me and him together won Lifetime Achievement Award in the Animal Star Awards. So we've got a few now.
Wow. Oh, it's so wonderful. He's clearly a very exceptional worker and
Yeah,
companion and friend and pet. I mean, he's all things.
he's
Oh,
everything.
oh, and you've had him for 4 years.
4 years now, yeah.
Did you get him after you started becoming a wheelchair user? Is that when he came into your life?
Yeah, so I was living in a flat, a one-bedroom flat, all through COVID. It didn't have a garden and it was very small. And I really, really wanted an assistance dog. Like I was already struggling with my mobility. I was an ambulatory wheelchair user, so walking a little bit, but mainly using my chair. And I really, really, really wanted one. But like part of the criteria was having an enclosed garden where obviously he could go out. Um,
Yes.
and I needed to go out and walk him, obviously, and we were all shielding. So it was all a bit complicated. So as soon as we came out of the COVID restrictions, I bought a house because the house market plummeted and I could actually afford one. So I bought a house purely so I could get a dog. I bought the house and within 2 weeks he'd moved in. so excited. I mean, he moved in as a 8-week-old puppy, so he wasn't an assistance dog. He was just a pet, and it was to get me out of the house again, like actually doing things, trying to build up some muscle strength. And then as I worked with him, we saw how incredible he was and how much he wanted to help. Like, he's so driven for praise and for treats. Like, he wants to do everything right. So we didn't actually submit him into the assistance dog program until he was 18 months old.
Well, Labradors are known for being very much caretakers, and they want to please their humans, and they're
Yeah.
very, very food oriented and motivated. I have been in talks for several years now about service dog, and it's a very long wait list in
Yeah.
Canada. And of course, I need a home with a backyard, which I don't have right now because of the
Mhm.
housing crisis in Canada.
It is really hard work as well. Like, I think like training a dog anyway is hard work, but training a dog
Mhm.
on top of having a disability, especially one that gives you chronic pain or chronic fatigue, like it
Yeah.
takes so much out of you. Like, we've already started my next dog, but he lives with my mum. She's doing her best to try and make another Ocho. Um,
Yeah.
but like the success rate isn't that high either. I think it's only 40% of dogs that start the training complete. So there's a huge risk in this that we might just end up with a well-behaved pet, but he's not actually suitable.
And is it that you are looking to train the other dog so that if Ocho ages out of service, is this kind of what the cycle is like?
Yeah, so Ocho will work till he's about 8. Um,
Okay.
so hopefully this new dog would be ready by the time Ocho is 7. So we'd have a bit of like phasing them over, because obviously it's going to be weird for him as well to go from doing working every day to a
Yeah.
retirement, I guess. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, we've got the risk that this new dog won't make it. Um, but we've left enough time that if it doesn't, we could work Otto till he's a little bit older, say 9 or
Yes.
10, and have enough time to do the whole thing again. And like,
Mhm.
fingers crossed that I'm lucky.
Yes, that's right. And then Ocho will be retired as a pet, and I'm sure he'll still probably try to help his mom, I'm sure.
So I've already had chats with my work. He will be retired into his therapy dog role, so he can continue to come to work as an old boy,
Okay.
whereas the new one would be there to work for me. So
So, double
yeah.
duty, these 2 different dogs.
Yeah. Well, the other one's a Labrador too, so
Oh, is that right?
Look,
What should people who are curious about service animals know about how they should behave and conduct themselves around service animals and their human or whoever they're helping?
so this is something I've had to really think about, because obviously having care staff coming into my house, I didn't want them to undo all the work that we'd done for Ocho. Um, so we do have a set of rules on the back door. Things like not encouraging him to jump up, because I can stand and I don't want to be pushed over by him if he starts doing that as a habit. And also, when we're visiting places like the assisted living, a lot of the people there are either elderly or frail, and I can't have him pushing people over.
No.
Um, so we've got that you must greet him with his paws on the floor. And if he starts jumping or getting overexcited, then you just turn your back and ignore him. Um, then not to feed him, because he is a Labrador and he will tell them that he's not been fed. So if I give permission, then they will feed him his own kibble from the cupboard. But otherwise, he's not to have anything, because he would eat a cheese sandwich quite happily. um, and then just little things like, if they are going to walk him for me, that's really kind of them, but just to make sure that they walk him with the expectations that I have. So we're not going to let him pull on the lead. We're not going to let him chase cats. Just little things that keep up with that
Mhm.
training.
Yeah,
Um,
not to let a bad habit creep in because it can
yeah.
happen pretty quickly with animals and with humans.
Yes, no, exactly. And then the other thing is to always say hi to me first, because they're coming to my house to help look after me. And he is super cute, and I know that. And he's got the most loving eyes, but like, they're coming to see me. So the rule is they always come in and they say hi to me first, and then they can greet the dog. I think my biggest thing to people who are interacting with a person with a service dog for the first time would be to ask the handler what they expect. Because I'm quite relaxed about it. Like, you can say hi to him if you want. He's 4, like, he's pretty chilled. But if I was out with the puppy, I wouldn't let anybody pet him. I wouldn't let anyone interact with him, because he's at that stage where he's 9 months old. So everything's exciting. And we're working so hard to get that under control. So I guess just
Mhm.
speaking to the handler and asking what they're happy with.
I've seen on TikTok and other social media hidden cameras of
Mhm.
blind pedestrians, people in wheelchairs, whatever the case is, they have a service animal with them. And a compilation of all the different things that the public can end up doing that can be quite endangering or, setting you back, setting the dog's training back. And I watch those because I want to understand. So many people love animals and they forget. They forget, wait, this dog is doing its job and keeping
Mhm.
this person safe. And I've learned a lot. I remember my very first interaction with the seeing eye dog, and I think I was 6 or 7. I was a very little kid. I was very small. We had gone to the city and I was sitting by this nice fountain, throwing in my pennies, and there was a man sitting there, and he was back on to me. And I also didn't know anything about disability or blindness or service animals. I was a little kid. And I remember just going, when I recognized the dog, because I was such an animal lover. And so I kind of hopped down and walked over and put my hand on the dog and didn't know. I didn't know. And the man, he probably really didn't need to be the way that he was, but he just roared at me, "Don't touch the dog. He's working. What are you trying to do?" And like really started yelling. And I remember just crying and sobbing and running away and feeling like, oh my God, what did I do? And I didn't understand, but I remember this black dog and
Ooh.
the man, and he was so angry. And years passed, and I never forgot it because I was so I never wanted to get yelled at again, and also I thought I hurt the dog, I thought I hurt the man, and many years later as a university student, in that same place, I saw this same man. I saw him and I recognized, "Oh, the dog has a vest and there's, a handle." Things I never noticed as a little kid,
Mm.
right? I always remember it was a pretty tough lesson, but, do you ever have to tell people, "Hey, like, please don't do that"? Like, have you ever had a situation where you've had to be more firm?
I mean, they start teaching kids over here quite young what assistance dogs or service dogs do. So we've got a couple of programs now on the TV called Super Dogs, and I think there's some others, which are literally kids programs. They've got a mix of cartoon and real film about super dogs and like what they do and how you shouldn't touch them. So like we went to the museum up in London, and I had Ocho wearing his vest, and he looks a lot like the dog called Kika in the show. Um,
Okay.
and it was a teacher that went to pet the dog, and this tiny little 4-year-old yells at her teacher, "Don't touch Kika, she's working!"
So the show did its job,
The
right?
show does an amazing job. It's the youngest children are the best at advocating for space for an assistance dog, but it's because 'cause they've grown up with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this was the story I'm telling you must have been oh, yeah, it was definitely the '80s, and so there was no discussion around that, and I do find I've spent a lot of time in the UK, and I do find the UK is miles and miles ahead with disability awareness and accessibility in
Mhm.
comparison to North America. I mean, light years, and Scandinavia as well, I found. Incredible, and another country that really surprised me recently was Australia. I didn't really
Okay.
know what to expect, right? I expected the rugged outback and, all this kind of thing, but in the cities, I was impressed by the universal design, the accessibility. It was really super impressive to me, and so those are 3 regions in the world that really do a fine job.
We're getting there. It's definitely getting there. There's still areas that need improvement. I would say that, like, the London transport is
Oh,
pretty
yes.
shocking. Um,
Yes.
so there's still areas that need improvement, but on the whole, we've got it all right over here.
When it comes to your advocacy work, how does it bring opportunities and challenges your way, like in your day to day? What are your favorite parts and what are the trickier bits?
I'm the only nurse in the UK at the minute who is still working clinically with a wheelchair and an assistance dog, which is amazing and frustrating at the same time. So, this has been my life now for the last 3 years, and I have spoken at every event that I can to try and make health and social care a more accessible career pathway for people with disabilities. And that doesn't mean just disabilities like mine. Like, it might be that it's people who are hearing impaired or people with autism. It could be anything. But I think that people with lived experience have so much more they can offer, and that can bring such a different perspective to providing healthcare, that we should be embracing it better. And that's the same reason that I find it frustrating, because for 3 years now, I have tried my best to improve the system. And I was a finalist in the Nursing Times Nurse of the Year. I was a finalist in the Patient Choice Awards. I've been a finalist in a couple of others, but it's still seen as really inspiring. And I don't want to like play that down, but everybody says like, oh, it's so inspiring to see you being a nurse, and like it's so wonderful that someone like you can do this. But like, it shouldn't just be me. It's been 3 years. That's enough time for people to have gone through university and be doing the same, or to have gone and done a college course and become a healthcare worker. Like, there's been so much time passed since I started making noise about this, that feeling like nothing's changed is one of the most frustrating feelings ever.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine it must also feel exhausting to feel like you're carrying this mantle
Yeah.
as the only nurse in the UK doing this.
There have
And
been others. It's really hard. I worked for the NHS for a while, and when I became disabled, it was never explicitly said, but it was implied that I couldn't be a nurse using a wheelchair. And it was very much pushed that I would be medically retired and, I'd go off and do something else. So I quit. I didn't want to be medically retired, so I quit. I was then approached by a care home manager who I'd applied for a different job. I'd applied to be an activities coordinator. And she was like, why are you even applying for this? Like, you should be applying to be one of our nurses. And I was like, I can't be a nurse. I've been there, done that. I need to find a job. So I'll just do that. Anyway, she told me that she would get back to me as soon as she had a nurse position that I'd be suitable for. And of course I was like, oh yeah, of course she will.
yeah.
Thinking it was going to be one of those things that they never got back. But 9 months later, she called me with a position and I took it. So
Amazing.
I went back into nursing, but obviously now that was in the private sector. And I've worked my way up from being what felt like brand new again, because I'm trained as a paediatric nurse. So to move into elderly care was so foreign. Like, it wasn't something I'd trained to do. So it was literally starting again. And although I had the skills, it was completely different working with a different age group of people and different conditions. Like, you don't treat people with dementia like in under 16s, or rarely. So I literally started again, and I've built my way up, and I've now got the position that I've got now, and I absolutely love it. And I don't regret anything. And had I stayed in the NHS, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be helping the people that I help today. But going back, my point was there have been others, and I've spoken to so many nurses who, once they became wheelchair users, were no longer as welcome in their position, and they either got medically retired or they quit so that they didn't. So it's hard. Like, it's a hard position to be in, because everybody wants to work in the big hospitals and get all that experience and skills and knowledge that you get from being in hospitals. Whereas actually the private sector is a lot more accommodating and a lot more accessible to people with additional needs.
And when you said that they were less welcome, was it because of ableism or accessibility or both?
Physical accessibility, to be honest. They didn't have the provisions in place. I am yet to find a hospital that has changing facilities for disabled staff. It's just not a thing. They've got male and female changing, and then they've got accessible bathrooms for the patients, but it's not something that they ever thought to put in. Like, I don't think it was planned that they would have disabled staff. I guess the other thing is that advocacy is a full-time job. Like, a lot of the disabled advocates that are big on social media, they are doing incredible work, and people know their names, and they're out there and they're visible, but they're not also trying to hold down a nursing career. Like, it's really hard to get my message out there when I'm working a full-time job. I just don't have the additional time, the additional energy, the additional money to be able to travel around the country and spread my message in the way that I would like to. And I think that's possibly why I'm finding it frustrating that I'm not seeing changes as quickly as I'd like to, but also I'm not really doing as much as I would like to, because I have a job that I love. Like, I would never give up my job to do advocacy work. I think for me that would defeat the object. I love doing the actual nursing. I love seeing the changes. I love giving people back like some kind of independence, or just setting goals. Like, I love seeing people smile. So I would never give up nursing just to do advocacy, but They do go hand in hand, but it's a job and a half.
I really know. I really know what you mean, and especially when there's also the reality that if we have other jobs or if we have complex health conditions that can sideline you at any time, and if you don't have the support financially or teams of people helping, right?
Mm.
It's just harder for the individual advocates who are also living the reality of disability, chronic illness, neurodivergence, any combination of those things. And then also wanting to make a difference, but having your passion also directed to the work that you do or the other things that are in your life.
Definitely. I don't have that kind of energy to be able to maintain that kind of presence online, to be honest.
Well, I know that I have to just do what I can, where I can, when I can, and that's good enough for me right now. Most of what I intend to do will take a different form.
I'm better at managing the dogs account, definitely. But like today, it's taken me a whole day to edit a video of a day in the life of the dog, which looks so simple when you look at it now, and yet it's taken me all day to do it. He doesn't even talk.
So, Chloe, what is a common misconception about disability and how can we change that narrative?
I think it's really hard at the minute, especially with everything going on in the media to do with disability in America. Like, I think there seems to have been a backward step. Like, we've lost the separation between like a learning disability or a physical disability or something else. Like, there's just the lines have all kind of got merged, and rather than being individuals, we've very much become a group of disabled again. Um, and like, there's been so many comments, hasn't there? Let's be honest. Like, people in wheelchairs are still very much, I don't want to say talked down to, but they're not spoken to in the same way as the able-bodied person with them. So an example would be I went dress shopping with my mum, and I picked out a lovely dress for me. And I went to the counter with my own money to pay for my own dress. And my mum was stood at the back. She was only there to help me with like the physical aspect of carrying my stuff. Um, and so the lady at the counter's putting it into a bag for me, and she looks over my shoulder to my mum and she goes, "Oh, she'll look lovely in that. How's she going to pay?" I was like, hi.
Oh my, it is the stereotypical story that we hear, like
It is. It is.
bypassing the disabled person in a probably unintentional but patronizing way.
I had someone, a waitress, offer to cut my
Oh,
food up at the pub.
are you serious?
I mean, did I take her up on it? Yeah, of course I did, because it was funny.
Good for you.
But it's those
So,
little things, like the lack of separation, like the lack of seeing people as individuals and asking what help they need rather than just
mhm,
assuming.
mhm. And so what happened when this shop clerk looked over your head at your mother and spoke about you to her? What did you verbalize? What did you do?
I kind of regret it. I was embarrassed and I didn't say anything. Like, I just paid for my dress and we left. And then me and mum obviously gave it all that in the car. But
Yeah,
at the time, I didn't know what to say. Like, it completely throws you. Like, I was doing
yeah,
so well. I wasn't very confident. I was quite new at being in a wheelchair, and I was proud of myself. But then that small little moment, and I don't think she meant anything by it. But that small little moment just threw me completely, and I had nothing to say, and I didn't even want to look at her, and I just paid for my goods and we left.
yeah. It's the shock and the surprise of being invisible or invalidated. I'm glad when you got in the car with your mom, you kinda let it out.
Oh, me and my mum have a lot of in the car conversations.
That's good. I think that's good. Oh,
In hindsight, I wish I could have said something. I
what
still
w
don't really know what I would have said, but like
yeah,
I wish I could have just educated her on the inappropriateness of the comments. But like at the time, I wasn't
yeah.
able to. And like, I think if it happened now, I probably would say something. But I'm a lot more confident in myself, and I'm a lot happier as a wheelchair user. But
Mhm.
you're not always ready, and I think that's so important. Like, you've got to pick your own battles, and not everything needs fighting at the time. It's the surprise of the event, isn't it? So even
Mhm.
recently I had a bad experience in a shop, actually with my mum again. But it was completely different. But the the experience caused me to burst into tears. So we just
Oh.
left. We abandoned everything and we just left. And we went and sat in the car. And after I'd calmed down and we'd had a chat about it, Mum asked me, what would you like me to do? Like, do you want me to go back and speak to the shop? Do you want us to just go home? Like, what do you want to do? Um, and I didn't feel able to go back and speak to the lady. Like, I couldn't. I wasn't mentally in the right space to go and deal with it. But I was able to tell Mum what I would like to say. And she went back and spoke to her. And we did get an apology. And she was very sorry for what had happened. But like, that's completely fine. Like, to have to take 5-10 minutes to think about what you want, and then it's fine to ask somebody else to do it. Like, it didn't have to be me that went back and spoke to her.
That's what allyship is all about, right? Our
Yeah.
friends, our families, community members, even strangers can be allies.
Mm.
It obviously they shouldn't just jump into action without asking you what you're comfortable with and what your wishes are. But for your mom to be your proxy in that situation and to go in to say, so we were just here. This is what
Mhm.
happened. This is why it's not okay.
Mhm.
This impacted my daughter. And this is not right. This is not how you treat people with disabilities. I'm guessing it was regarding
Yeah.
wheelchair? Yes, okay. That was my guess, okay.
Yeah. But like, even that is a hard thing to come to terms with. Like, as a 33-year-old, I have this feeling that I shouldn't be needing somebody to help me fight my battles, but actually sometimes I do, and that's okay. I wish sometimes I could take my own advice. Like, I am really good at helping other people and being like, that's okay, it's okay to do such and such. And then when it comes to me, I'm like, oh, it's not okay at all. I'm a failure.
Yeah, we do that, don't we? We hold ourselves to a different standard. I think
Mhm.
that human beings we do it, but women and gender diverse folks, we do that because we've been again conditioned and socialized to do that. And then you also have personality types and neurotypes that sometimes we beat ourselves up a little more and why couldn't I have done this? There's so many things
Mm.
at play.
Mhm.
As you know, I have a Finding Avalon podcast playlist, and that's a companion piece to the podcast. And each guest, I ask them if they'd like to add a song or two to this playlist. So, do you have any to add?
I do. I do have one to add, just the one. And I have
Okay.
spent a long time trying to work out what I would want to add. I've decided to go with Africa by Toto. And it's because of the memories it brings back. I just moved into my house, the first house I'd ever bought, and my best friend Joe was down, and we were in my tiny little Toyota Igo moving all my stuff. And we were sitting in traffic and we were screaming Africa at the top of our lungs. And a van drove past and we completely forgot we'd got all the windows open. And the look he gave us was something else. And ever since then, whenever I hear that song, it's one of those happy, just wholesome memories that I will treasure forever. And whenever I hear it, it's the perfect song.
Well, it sounds like to me it's like a pivotal milestone soundtrack
Yeah.
song that you singing at the top of your lungs, and I'm sure the driver next to you didn't expect people your age to know Toto.
Probably not, but it's one of the best songs out there. I'd never realized how much music can bring to people. I did a singing class as part of a wellbeing thing, so it was prescribed by my GP that we went and did like communal singing. And you didn't have to be any good; you just turned up and gave it a go, and it was so fun, and I absolutely loved it. And then I moved house, and I couldn't go anymore. But then in August last year, I found a show choir that sings just down the road from my house. So I've joined them and I've started singing, and it's so fun. And I've made so many new friends, and we've done concerts and we've done busking, and it's brilliant. I love it. Singing's amazing. It can really release you. For me, it's like I'm somewhere else. Like, I don't think about anything to do with anything. Like, I'm
Mm.
singing because I enjoy it, and I've learned all the words and things, or learnt the tune, and I'm singing with my friends, and we sing in a church with a really tall roof and it sounds amazing. But like, for that hour and a half every week, I can forget about everything and just sing with friends. It's lovely.
Mhm, it's almost like an escape.
Yeah, definitely.
I think everybody needs that.
It's the first time since being disabled that I've had a hobby that is for me, not something to do with the dog. So, like, I've done a lot of dog shows and I've done a lot of the training with the dog, but this was the first time that I wanted to do something that's actually for me, and I love it.
Chloe, in 3 words, whether that's 3 individual words or a simple 3 word phrase, what does disability inclusion mean to you and why?
Or I'm gonna go with always be yourself. I think that's all you can do. You can't be anyone else. You are yourself.
Because there really is only one you.
There is. And there's no point trying to be someone else. You are you. Your disabilities are part of you, but so is everything else. Like, your sense of
True.
humor is part of you. Your sense of dress is part of you. Like, you are you. And it's okay. If you need to do a podcast in your pajamas, that's okay. Like, I haven't brushed my hair today, and that's okay.
We do real life around here.
I've tried for a long time to fit in with society in as much as I've tried having boyfriends and I've tried living with people and I've tried the whole dating thing, and it's not for me. Like, I'm 33, I've had a lot of years now of like trying this and it's not for me, and I'm all right with that now. Like, my house is set up for me and the dog, and we have a brilliant life and we have so much fun and we've got the best of friends, and that's okay. Like, I don't have to have a boyfriend to be part of society, and I don't have to have somebody with me to be included. Like, it's fine just being me.
Absolutely. You try on different things that society tells you that
Hmm.
these are the things that you need for the recipe for success and happiness or fitting
Yeah.
in. And some people find it very hard to believe that you could be fine, happy, fulfilled, and energized by a life that is unpartnered. Before we finish up, Chloe, I'd love to ask you about what kinds of projects and news you've got going on. What are you excited about these days?
So, I've got a few things coming up. I am a finalist in the Workplace Wellbeing Awards.
Well deserved accolades rolling in.
Well, and this one is me, not Ocho, so that's pretty good.
It's for Chloe. Chloe, Ocho has enough trophies for now. So you got to go to London for that?
Yeah, back up to London for that one. Um, and I think that's for most inspiring employee, so that's quite exciting.
Wow. I love it.
And then thirdly, this is the big one. So I said earlier I sing with the UK show choir. We've been invited to sing in New York at Carnegie Hall in 2026.
Carnegie Hall.
Yeah,
Okay, and so your very first entry into New York is singing at Carnegie Hall?
right. So everyone keeps telling me that this is a massive, massive big deal, and I had no
It
idea what
is.
Carnegie Hall was until I looked it up last night.
Okay, so now that you've looked it up and you realize the context for Carnegie, what are you feeling about this?
I mean, I'm a bit more nervous than I was when I signed up, I must say.
So tell me a little bit more about the choir, how you got selected, when it's gonna be.
So it's in May 2026. Everybody that sings as part of the show choir was able to apply to go, and they're taking 100 people. And we're going to be singing with other show choirs. So it's all super exciting. I don't know what songs we'll be singing yet, but it's songs from Broadway, from the West End, from like Disney films. I'm really excited. I mean, I am a bit more nervous now I've seen what a big deal it is, but it's very exciting. I never thought I would visit America. From here, it seems like a really, really, really long way. Um, so it just isn't something that I thought I'd be able to do, especially not with a disability. Like, it's it's hard, isn't it? But this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I've paid the deposit, and I'm going to do it.
Yes, good, good.
So I've set up a Just Giving, because obviously going all the way to America, especially with needing additional help, like needing a big wheelchair, needing the extra support from not having the dog with me, it's going to cost me more, and I'm going to need accessible taxis and accessible hotel rooms. It's going to be harder for sure, but I don't want to miss out. So I've set up a Just Giving page, and it's www.justgiving.com/crowdfunding/Chloe dash show choir trip.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna put that link in socials and in this episode as well,
Thank you.
because I think everybody should, if they can, support you. I know I'm definitely going to pop a donation your way, because travel is very expensive, but exponentially more expensive when you have disability, and especially when you have specialized equipment and accessibility needs, from transportation to lodgings to everything.
It's going to
So
take a lot of planning, definitely.
you're going to have such a great time in New York. I'm so impressed. Thank you for being here on the podcast with me and sharing your experiences, your knowledge, your wonderful sense of humor. And I want you to give Ocho a great big cuddle for me after this. Thank you so much, Chloe. Thanks
Thank you for
again.
having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks so much for listening to the Finding Avalon podcast. Don't forget to follow me on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts so that you'll get notifications on when new episodes drop, including some upcoming bonus content. Another way you can help as an ally is to rate this podcast, share it with others, and post on social media so that more people can be reached by real talk and real disabled stories. If you'd like to book me for a speaking engagement, a community event, facilitation, or other fun collaboration, reach out to me over at avalonadvocacy.com. Special artist thanks and credit for the unreleased feature song Coal Miner, written by Steve Hoskins, arranged by Naomi Kavka, and performed by Naomi Kavka, Bryn Porter, and Tony Kostelik. Thanks again, folks. See you again soon for the next episode.